Welcome. So you're probably wondering why we all gathered you here today, and I think it's to talk about the dark side of the Clone Wars. And there were a lot of dark sides to the Clone Wars, even on arguably the light side of the Clone Wars, but two big dark sides of the Clone Wars. One, just a massive nightmare for the Jedi Order. And the other one, well, you could call him a Shadow Lord, maybe. I'm hoping he's going to tell us all about it. We're going to find out tonight. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me Sam Witwer and Matthew Wood.
How's it going?
Why did you never get a double-bladed one, by the way? Like, what's with that? Why come?
Why a double-bladed lightsaber?
For Grievous. I mean...
Oh, I don't, yeah.
Why
Four
come?
arms.
Your collection is woefully incomplete.
I'm bad at math. What would that be? 4 arms with 2 double-bladed lightsabers each?
No.
8?
That was Pung Krell. He did 2 double-bladed at the time.
Oh, yeah, Pung
Which,
Krell.
amazing he didn't cut his own head off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pong Krell? Anybody? Pong Krell
Yeah,
fans?
General... Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, if you're booing him, I think he did his job well as a villain. Now, we didn't have that part of the dark side of the Clone Wars today, but like I said, I think arguably we
back a
have
little bit.
some of the best parts
Thanks.
of the dark sides of the Clone Wars with us here today. So, how was y'all's flights out? Did y'all have a good trip?
How was our lights out?
Our
flights.
lights out. Flights out. I can't. I work in sound. I'm deaf. I can't.
Yeah. Same here.
Flight. I went to Love Field. It was great. Love Field versus Dallas Fort Worth. What's the consensus? Love Field. Everyone for Love Field.
Either one. There you go.
Dallas Fort Worth. Oh, okay. Good to know. I made the right choice.
Good job.
Where did you
Me,
go?
I was... LAX?
No.
Oh, which is what I did. That was lights out for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, tell us about some of your favorite moments in a galaxy far, far away. You two have been so ingrained into the Star Wars saga for decades now, and
Eons.
have been creating joy and wondrous moments for Star Wars fans all around the world. But what are some of your favorite moments in either order?
I can't remember decades back. I can't remember.
When did you see the movie as a kid? What's the first one you saw?
Oh
Sam?
my God, yeah. No, we had a bootleg of Star Wars on an old VHS player, and it came out when I was 0. So I was learning that stuff from, I think my first words must have been, use the Force, Luke.
Yeah. And that's your favorite memory?
That's the only memory I have. That's all I remember. No, it was such an extraordinary thing that, and everyone was so crazy about it, and we just kind of took it for granted. You just kind of, I guess life, and there's Star Wars, and what else is there?
Right, I know. Yeah, that's. As a kid, I was 5 when the first one came out. It was definitely a big deal. We saw it at a drive-in movie theater, actually, which was kind of fun. But then, we had a bootleg copy of Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
And on a VHS that was somebody shot it in a movie theater, and it was dubbed 17 times over. So
Yep.
you're grabbing the tracking to even have the thing so you could see it.
Yeah.
But still, it was amazing.
The old wood-paneled VCRs.
Yeah, very wood paneling in the VCR was great.
Yeah. How come there was never, in George's used universe, how come there was never wood paneling on, like, say, the X-Wings?
That would have been amazing.
That would have been really cool.
amazing.
Millennium Falcon? Yeah, she may not look like much, but I just got wood paneling on it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Corinthian leather.
Yeah.
Corellian leather.
Corellian leather.
Carillion leather.
My favorite experience with Star Wars, I think it's For me, it was working on Phantom Menace, actually. Yeah, that was an amazing. You know, we hadn't done a movie in almost, what was it, like 82 to 99?
He was the first person to see the Phantom Menace all the way through. Not kidding. Literally the first human being to see Phantom Menace from beginning to end.
That was
Even
a funny.
before
That was
George?
that kind of stuff always happened with George Lucas because it felt like we were just working with a friend. You know, he was obviously a mentor, but he was a billionaire, ran a company, and all those things. But I never really felt like it was a status or class change where he wasn't just a human being working with us. And so one day, casually, I was working over in the main house with where they cut the picture for the show, and there was 2 editors working on it. Paul Martin Smith was one of them, and then Ben Burt was the other one. And they both were working on the respective sequences in the movie, and one day I was going to come in and start looking at who all the digital characters were, so I had to map out a way to record all the actors and get everybody scheduled and bring them in. And so I was asking, you know, Paul's group. George was like, here's the stack of videotapes for Paul's scenes, here's the stack of videotapes for Ben's scenes, and I stacked them all up, and we have these bikes that we can ride at Skywalker Ranch. I put them all in the front basket of the bike, and I had like 12 videotapes or whatever it was, and I went back to my room, and George even said when I was leaving with this giant stack, he's like, you know, Matt, you're the first person that's ever going to watch this all the way through. And I just kind of was like, oh, okay, sure. And then as I'm riding back to my office in the technical building, I remember being like, what is happening? What? This is it right here in the bike, and I'm like rattling over the cobblestones as I actually went into my office, shut the door, and there's a lake we have this Lake Ewok, it's called, at Skywalker Ranch, and for some reason I had one of the oars of one of the boats. I'm not sure, I think I was recording something, I don't remember why, but I had this oar in my office, and I remember sticking it into the door after I'd shut it to like make it so nobody could open the door. Because I was gonna watch the show by myself and I even though I'm at Skywalker Ranch, I was still scared that somebody might come in and see me.
That's a fire hazard, man.
It was.
So did any of that story inspire the story of Fanboys then? Since that plot of that movie is them to sneak on and watch the movie early?
It's funny because I worked on that film, which was a weird thing to do because you're watching.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
So do you know Sam Huntington?
I don't know. I worked with him doing ADR, but I did not. I don't know him. I only know Kyle Newman, the director.
And Kyle, of course, we know.
And then,
so cool.
So that was a weird one to work on that film, and then you're at the place where they're talking about where you're working on, and I'm like, well, that's not totally what we did. Okay, but it was still like, a dramatization. Ray Park was in it, all that stuff.
Don't get mauled.
Anyway, we're getting off track, I guess. But my favorite one was Phantom Menace, just because it was the first time we'd done a movie in a long time. We were using new digital technology. George was very trusting and had put together an amazing crew. And it was just, making these things like the pod race and coming up with new lightsabers and working with Ahmed Best and all these amazing, and the battle droids and Ben Burt, and it was incredible. It was incredible, and I was in my 20s and was very, very excited about it. So that's my favorite Star Wars memory.
It's great. That's cool.
It's great.
And now it's your favorite Star Wars memory.
Yes,
Yeah.
all of you, starting with him over there, and then we're just gonna go through the line.
Oh yeah, what's your favorite?
All the way down.
We're like, number one. What is your favorite?
So you guys got to play 2 of the most iconic villains, not just in the Clone Wars series, but in the overall Star Wars saga as well, namely General Grievous and Darth Maul. Now, if you had the opportunity to play any of the hero characters in the Clone Wars era, who would it be?
Who says that Grievous isn't a hero? It's all a matter of perspective.
Maul's got his own show. He's not a hero?
No, not Maul and Grievous.
Talking about the Shadow Lord.
Who would Sam Witwer and who would Matt Wood play?
I'd love to play Darth Maul. What do you got?
I'm gonna spill the beans on something, and maybe Dave will be mad at me. But at one point, I think it's been made public that George was thinking about bringing on a young Han Solo into the Clone Wars for an episode or 2 or 3. And look, I know Dave tried out a bunch of different actors and stuff, but I am one of the actors he tried out for young Han Solo. And I don't know if he went for mine because I did not do, I don't know if Dave knows that I can do a Harrison Ford.
Talking about Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni is, I'm just doing my Harrison Ford for you right now. You know, or grumpy old Harrison Ford, where it's like, what's my favorite Star Wars memory? The answer is, who gives a fuck? I don't even know what's going on right now. But you know, Han Solo, Captain of the Millennium Falcon, Chewie here tells me you're looking for passage to the Alderaan system, is not what I did. What I did was Bob Falfa from American Graffiti.
Nice.
I was just like, we got to get the Falcon running. And you know, I just basically played him like, he's not, and my argument was like, he's not Han Solo yet, Dave. He's trying to be Han Solo. He's not there yet. So he just sort of like kind of talked like this, and he was Bob Falfa, right. So I ain't nobody, dork, right?
That's good.
You tell Milner
really
I'm
good.
looking for him, all right? Ain't he neat?
What appeals to you about Han Solo? I mean, what do you like about that character? Why do you want to play
He
him?
wears jeans. I wear jeans. He's got hair. These are all true things.
That's very true.
Yeah. No, my favorite character is Luke Skywalker. That's my guy.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Very cool.
And your hero character.
Oh, I
You
was
picked
joking
Maul,
about
but-
Darth Maul.
Yeah.
It's Captain Kirk.
Pon Krell. No,
Pon
I'm kidding. No. That's a good
From
one.
a certain point of view.
I always wanted to work for the Mugen Tea factory, so that was if I could be a CEO of Mugen Tea. I thought that was a hero.
Mugen Tea.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know. Mugen Tea? No, I'm making Clone Wars
No,
jokes.
no
Nobody's
Mugen Tea
seen
fans in here. No Mugen
Does
Tea.
anyone even remember that episode?
Mugen Tea guys. Mandalore. Yeah.
Is this a real Clone Wars audience?
You guys all
But
think
where,
like
where the kids in the schools were drinking.
all you guys
The bad
care about
drinks?
is Mandalorian
Yeah.
armor and Mandalorian wars. No one cares about the kids.
Nobody cares about the kids. The kids were drinking bad juice at school.
They were drinking basically poison Snapple, and it was made from less than wholesome ingredients.
Well, wait, George, but the Separatists are doing this, right?
No, it's just basically they're trying to save money on making bad soft drinks.
Yep.
So the Jedi have to get involved.
No, they don't have to get involved. It's a story about soft drinks, basically.
I'll say, okay, you know what? I really like Hu Yang, actually, from Ahsoka. I know that's, I love Hu Yang. And he's seen a
topical.
lot. He's seen a lot. So I just like the history of that character and how he fits into the Star Wars universe and all the different genres. I like that character a lot. And the gentleman who plays it now is incredible. But I can't remember his name.
David Tennant.
David Tennant.
Yeah.
I've worked with several times. I'm terrible with names.
The guy that used to play it was pretty good too.
Who's that? Did you?
David Tennant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
he was good.
Good. Got me.
There is another really cool
There is
droid
another. Okay, I'm sorry.
that both of you have gotten the pleasure to work with, who is kind of similar to Hu Yang and is also a David. Mr. David Collins is here with us today.
Yes, David
yeah.
Collins. Yes, he's one of our buddies we've worked with forever, and he came in. He'd been working in the games division. You guys worked together on
Force Unleashed, yeah.
And
He's the reason I'm here.
yeah,
He's the reason I'm here because David committed an act of sabotage back in the Force Unleashed days. He literally snuck down the corridors and the halls and snuck my headshot and resume into the pile for who was going to get an audition for Force Unleashed. So, sabotage. And because of that, I've been working with Lucasfilm for 18 years or whatever it is. Yeah.
and we have like this parallel career paths because I came in through the games division. So did David. He stayed in. He came and did a slight tenure with us over in the scoring stage where we do music at Skywalker, and then he went back to LucasArts, and then we both were working in sound on the same projects. You know, he would, and then I was able to scoop him up to do Resistance. So that was his first job.
And you did that because I pressured you on the bridge of a Federation starship. Do you remember that?
We play this VR Star Trek
VR
game.
Star Trek game.
And guess who gets to always play the captain?
Sitting in the captain's chair.
Yeah, and we have to role play. We can't break character.
We had the Skywalker. We had Dave Acord and Trey and you. You were the engineer, and I'm like, steady, Trey.
Yeah.
Come around to 149 Mark II. Hold fire, David Acord. Engineer, goose those engines. Raise the shields, and also hire David Collins for Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's just basically what happened, because you guys were all talking while we were on our mission, and there's Klingons and stuff. There he is. There's the guy. Captain Kirk.
Yeah, there's.
And they were talking about, they're like, there's all these new Star Wars shows coming out. There's not enough of us, you know? And I'm like, steady, steady, hire David Collins. And you guys are like, I mean, I'm like, no, hire David Collins. Like, you're gonna thank me for this. Just do it. I know, because I always pushed him and was like, David Collins. They're like, yeah, we don't really have a space for him. And I'm like, well, now you do it. And then you did.
Yeah.
And then you actually called me up and you were like, yeah, I need like 5 more David Collins. This is amazing. This guy's great.
Well, that's what I mean. Star Wars and the way we work on it too is very similar to the lore of what the show is. It's like a bunch of ragtag group of folks that get together, and then you have to rely on one another. You're working on instinct, and you trust one another, and you do something good usually, even though we play bad guys. But that's what it's like. I mean, I love that about working at Lucasfilm, and we just want to be around people that we really enjoy working with. And we all know that Star Wars, as we all do in here, is bigger than any one of us. And we're just trying to put our best foot forward and represent this amazing, universe that George Lucas has created, and continue it on with the artists that appreciate it and love it. And that's our main thrust of working on it. So that and David Collins is a great example of that. You're a great example of that. So it's fun.
This guy has done. And I can't even tell you some of the stories I know about this guy, because they will not be made public for another 10 years. But there have been things he has done where, much like Han Solo shooting Darth Vader off of Luke's tail so he could make the trench run, he's done that like 100 times over for Star Wars. Like, there are tales of, we have no good solution for this very, very big problem. And he just goes, here's how we're going to do it. And he just jumps in and solves. Again, I wish I could tell you. I mean, I'm thinking about 3 of them right now, all of which are under heavy NDA.
Too many NDAs.
Yeah. You have to believe me. This guy has saved your beloved franchise on many, many, many occasions. And so have others. So have many others.
Yeah.
There's one thing in particular that, like, we're not gonna, but one day we'll tell the story.
Sure.
But very, very.
There's not lawyers at Disney or anything.
No, we haven't signed paperwork that said we'll get sued if we talk about it. No. Yeah. But that was incredible work. That was absolutely incredible work, and done under very difficult circumstances.
Yay. Good. Thank you.
Speaking of incredible work and things that we can't talk about or might be getting sued about, what can we talk about with the upcoming Maul Shadow Lord? And what kind of sounds can we talk about from the upcoming Maul Shadow Lord?
It does have some space.
There's space in it.
Space is in there.
There's space.
Animated.
Space.
Maul.
Animated.
I think I heard Maul might be in it.
Maul might.
Is that? Wait, whoa. Are we allowed to say that? Yeah, Maul's in it.
Okay.
There's
no, I
Zabrak.
Is he still red?
That's we're getting in a.
Not allowed to discuss.
Can't discuss color.
Color temperatures color. And no. Here's the thing. I can actually say quite a bit. I want to start with talking about the team, because we have Brad Rao, who's the showrunner of Bad Batch.
Yes.
And that guy has a very clear vision for what makes this show special, and I've loved working with him. Extraordinary guy. Matt Miknovitz, who's been writing for us since the Clone Wars, is our head writer. So, one of us will, hey, what if this happens? And he goes, no, Sam, Clone Wars Season 3, Episode 14, we did this thing where, and he's just like, blows my mind with some bit of Star Wars. He's like, well, what we can do is we can do this. So let's do that. Or I'd throw out a line of dialogue and he'd make it good and then throw it back to me. Incredible writer, and the writing team is amazing. And then we have Athena Portillo, who's like the producer who just will not allow you to fail, which is amazing. She's just, that's what you want. You see the difference on the screen in terms of how she's protected us, how she's gotten us all to work together, and how many, speaking of saving Star Wars, how many creative problem-solving situations she's been in where she's like, okay, we got a problem, we're going to do this. So she's like our leader. And then we have Dave up top, Dave Filoni, overseeing and sometimes swooping down and jumping into the editing room and doing a bunch of stuff and then swooping away and then swooping back. And then, of course, we have the Kiners, Kevin Kiner and his family doing our music. But what I can tell you about the show is that it takes place shortly after the end of the Clone Wars. So this is the very beginning of the Empire. And Maul, he was helping to make the Empire for a while until he quit working for Palpatine. He quit because it was, you know what I mean? He was like, and he was hanging out on a garbage planet after that. And then other things happened, but basically this guy is looking around going, is this what we had in mind? Because I didn't think it was going to be this. I thought it was going to be something different, because Maul comes from a land of magic and color and knights and dragons, and now all of that is dead, and the magic and the colors being sucked out of the galaxy by this mechanical, maniacal empire. And Maul is going like, what happened to the Jedi Knights? And he's really reassessing almost everything about his life in the beginning of this story. And he perhaps has some wisdom to pass on to the next generation, because what's a master without an apprentice? So that's kind of cool. No.
Easy. The lawyer.
Oh, God. No.
No one recorded this.
Oh, God, no.
Of course, he's talking about Jabba the Hutt in season 2 of Rebels.
I was talking about Rebels.
Yeah.
Right? No problem. No, but what's fun is that there are real differences in Maul's character between Clone Wars and Rebels, and I played him very differently between the two. And so that necessitates a lot of questions like, whoa, wait, when did he start talking like this? Or when did he start figuring this out? Now, this Maul is a lot closer to the Clone Wars Maul, but this is a situation where, because we're doing a show that has Maul in the title, it allows us to do things that we couldn't do before. Like there were a few things that I pitched to Dave in Clone Wars, and I'm like, what if this? And Dave's like, yeah, no, Sam, no. No, oh God, no, Sam. No, but he would say, listen, we can't do that because we're seeing this through Ahsoka's perspective. This isn't Maul's show, so we can't take time with that. And I never imagined he was thinking that Maul could have a show. So later when it was like, oh, it's Maul's show, then it's like, okay, now we're looking for those ideas of things you could only do in a Maul show. And we will be learning more about who he is and what's messing with him. And, we don't change the idea that this is a bad guy, but it is in fact a show about bad guys versus worse guys. And there's a difference between him and, you got Palpatine and Vader, which is, Palpatine's like 10 out of 10 when it comes to villainy. Vader's like 9.8 out of 10, unless you happen to be his son. And then you have Maul, who's more like an 8.5. The Sith would look at Maul and say, this guy has a lot of flaws. The Jedi would look at those same flaws and be like, that is the only redeeming thing about you. Go with that, So Maul, there are certain things that he's learned in the shows that we saw through the Clone Wars that he has now, they've kind of changed his perspective on a few things. But he is still a very dangerous individual.
Nice.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now,
What's up?
Did you say any of that in Japan? I just want to make sure we're good.
Oh, I said that stuff in Japan before it was
good.
true.
Okay.
No, what's funny is...
Make it happen.
I'll leave you with this. The funny thing is that we have a very collaborative relationship on that show, and they are so wonderfully open, and I have been pulled into that process, the process of making the show, deeper than I've ever have before, where we sit down and talk about scripts, we sit down and talk about animation, we sit down and talk about story and all that stuff. And there were things that I felt like, I think we need to hit these beats. I think there are certain things we need to give a certain subtext, yada, yada, yada. I had a whole bunch of pitches. So then I go to Japan and I talk about what I just talked about with you guys. And then I went to Athena and I'm like, yeah, so I really blew it because I just talked about a bunch of stuff that's not on the show. And she's like, just give it a second. And then I come back and within a month, those things started appearing in episodes because they were working on them. And they were like, no, have faith.
It's what you wanted.
It is what you wanted. So now I feel nervous in a different way because I'm like, well, if people don't like it, I am every bit as responsible as anyone. It's my fault as much as it's anyone's fault. Yeah, but Brad and Matt, Athena, the whole team, Joel, Aaron, Stuart Lee, and the directors, I really like the show. And I say that having seen, I mean, all of the, through various iterations, but I've also seen finished episodes where I'm like, I like this show. This is a cool show. Very different show than we've done.
And did you use the same oar to bar yourself when you watched the show?
The oar from Ewok Lake's boat. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you jam it in the door when?
He's just wishing he could take the oar and shove it in my mouth to keep my mouth closed. You know?
No, you're amazing.
So, what would you say was perhaps your favorite part of working on the Clone Wars? Because the Clone Wars spanned for a really long time
75 years.
in terms of production. So, Sam, starting with you, what would you say was your favorite part of working on the Clone Wars as a whole?
I'm going to throw to Matt, and I'm going to say, wasn't it absolutely how much fun George was having with the Star Wars universe?
Yeah. I mean, when we finished Sith, Revenge of the Sith, we were having this screening, and it went really well, and George was very happy. He seemed like, he's told the story that he wants to tell, and I detected a certain lightness in him, and he was like looking forward to telling some other stories and we finished the prequels together, and he was very happy. And I got, maybe a month after that, I got brought into this room, and it was actually Rick McCallum was part of it at this point, and he said, George was like, hey Matt, we want to do another animation series. We liked the Genndy Tartakovsky thing, but
This is a month after?
It was not that long after, yeah. So
I had no idea.
I thought it would have been sooner, to be honest with you.
And he said, and he was like, yeah, we liked the Genndy Tartakovsky thing. That was an experiment to see if there was an appetite for the Clone Wars stories, which there was. And he said, we want to do 8 episodes of this thing. We're going to internally produce it. We're going to make this Clone Wars series. And
8 episodes.
And then the producer at the time, Rick, was like, thinking that I was like, that we were all sick of Star Wars. He was like, you don't have to, I'm only going to ask you to do 8. And George, you only have to do 8. We're just going to do 8 episodes, and we're going to hand it off to another team, and you guys can do other things. You can walk, don't have to do it. And I was like, I like working on Star Wars, but anyway, so we did these 8 episodes, and Dave Filoni had come up from, I think he was coming right in from Nickelodeon, I believe. I can't remember exactly where he came in straight from, but he knocked on my
recently
door.
did Avatar.
He just knew, he went to the tech building and found my name on the door, and he knocked on it, and he was like, I saw your documentary that you made. It was about Attack of the Clones. We were recording the Jedi transport ships and everything. And he said, I've got this little sequence we're working on. It's some, it's a cliff sequence there, and we just want to, it's like 10 minutes long. Could you do some sound for it? And sure, of course, and we did the sound, and then if you cut to, what was it, like how many years later, we did 100+ episodes. George worked on every single one. I worked on every single one. I mean, we loved it. It was George could do most of the work in post-production. He had a great writing team. It was a very small crew, and we couldn't say anything that we were even making the show for like 2 years or something. We were, what are you working on? It was just like, couldn't say it to anybody. We couldn't tell anybody. And
we didn't even know about it over at Force Unleashed.
Yeah,
we had no idea.
Completely nobody. And then, because George really likes to make the show, completely finish it on his own terms, done, and then sell it.
Where are you going to air it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was like we made 2 seasons. I think we had 2 seasons worth of material before we even announced that we had made the show at all.
Unbelievable.
So we were completely working in secret, and then it did end up going on Cartoon Network. And then we took the first 4 episodes and put it in the movie theater, which was funny because at the time I was also working on Wall-E, and George wanted, and I was having to kind of moonlight. I just don't like. I work with a lot of artists, and I'm like, if I'm working on one show and I've got another show, I want each artist to feel like I'm the #1 person for both of those shows. So I was juggling Wall-E and Clone Wars.
2 timing.
Yeah, at the same time, and then George had this idea where he's like, "Hey, you know what? I want to make the first 4 episodes. I want to make it into a movie." And we're like, "Okay, wow!" That because it wasn't supposed to be. It was, So we kind of took those together, cut it together, and he goes, "And the guys from Pixar want to come over and show us Wall-E, and I thought we could do a little bake-off with them, and we could show them Clone Wars movie." And I'm like. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I think that's good. We should get those Wall-E guys over here to show the movie to them, and I have to. And so then I remember when they came in, I just stayed sitting in the room, and everyone was like, "What the?" And the credits were all done, and it was like supervising sound editor Matt Wood, and George was like, "Oh, you did that one too, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, just yeah," but he was totally fine. But it was a good day, and I think it inspired everybody, as you saw on Clone Wars, as the seasons went on and the animation studio became more and more robust, and the amount of assets we created and Joel Aaron's work, we got to a point where I felt like towards the those 4 episode arcs we were doing.
They were
at
great.
the end, they looked like incredible animation that had been done at a fraction of the budget that Pixar was.
Yeah.
And I think that first opening meeting, because everyone was kind of like, we're going up against Pixar to play our movie together.
Which is, I have a theory. I don't know if Dave would even remember, even if this is true, but my theory is part of the reason they hired me for Clone Wars, because I had done Force Unleashed, and that came out around the same time as Clone Wars. And naturally, the press back then, we really wanted to pit those 2 projects against each other, which was lame. Because they were like, Force Unleashed, it's like, oh, Star Wars. And then they're doing this Clone Wars thing. What's that? And I'm like, slow down for a second. I slowed this guy down. I'm like, hold on. We're servicing 2 completely different age demographics. We're going for more of the original trilogy fans, the older fans. Clone Wars is going for the younger fans. It's an on-ramp. And I think they're doing a terrific job. And they say, well, yeah, but they did that movie. And I'm like, that movie was an intro to the series. They used to do that in the 80s and the 70s all the time. They would take the first few episodes of a TV show like Buck Rogers or something like that, cut it into a movie, put it in theaters to get people to know about the TV show. So understand that was the objective, and it succeeded because people are watching the Clone Wars. Secondly, understand that when you go into a theater, you are up against Pixar and budgets that are 10 to 15 times heavier than the Clone Wars. So understand, for what they're doing on a television budget, have we ever seen anything like that before? No.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything like that before on a television schedule and budget, and that is where it needs to be judged. So I'm all for the Clone Wars. That's what I said in this interview. Yeah. And I get the feel, I don't know if someone read that, but they're like, oh, that Force Unleashed guy, he's our friend. Bring him over. Yeah. Have him play the son of Mortis, Yeah. So, but I felt like I understood what the objective was with Clone Wars. And then, honestly, like you said, as the years wore on, it's incredible how much production value was squeezed out of the same budget.
Yeah.
That, Clone Wars was as expensive when it started than it was later on, and later on it started looking like feature animation. Yep. Like Shadow Lord? Guys, you're not ready for how pretty this show is. It is. It is the most visually stunning Star Wars show we've ever done, and then you have David Collins bringing, like the whole thing is a little bit more stylized, even though it's in the Clone Wars style. But you're sort of seeing the world through through Maul's eyes. This is how he sees Star Wars. So everything looks a little bit more dangerous. Do I even say how he cut the lightsabers? Am I allowed to say that?
I mean, I don't. Yeah, someone over here said yes.
Oh, yeah. They're doing all kinds of weird stuff in the show, and one of the things that Brad Rao and David Collins talked about was they're like, can we take little bits of Sam's vocalizations and just hide them everywhere in the soundscape of the show? I mean, even like a blaster might be me going, ah, you know, like some sort of, but they're literally hiding little bits of Maul vocalization in the. I mean, the sound design is again just a little bit weirder than we've done before. So yeah, but anyway, all's to say, without Clone Wars, without George making that leap forward into animation and saying, we're going to create beautiful animation for television. We're going to do that, and we're going to get better and better and better, and we're going to get more sophisticated. Without George driving that, I'm not working on this cool Star Wars show right now. That would never, none of that would have happened. And furthermore, like the Clone Wars proved to be an extraordinary on-ramp for an entire generation of fans that keeps, by the way, replenishing, because I keep meeting little kids who are being introduced to the Clone Wars. So George was right. George was right to do that.
Yeah, and also, yeah, completely. And that feeling when we saw Ahsoka and we had all the flashbacks to Ahsoka of the Clone Wars scenes were, I mean, and I've worked on all of this stuff. I was so emotional seeing those flashbacks of the young Ahsoka and Anakin. That was just, and that kind of gravitas was completely imbued into Clone Wars. That wouldn't have that emotional payoff if you didn't have our show. It was beautiful, beautiful.
So, gentlemen, one more question for you before we head back to all the fans.
Yeah.
With the realm of possibilities being so much more open for more Star Wars stories to be told, for countless fans to come, if you could pick any pre-existing legend story that hasn't been adapted in some way, or a character that hasn't been adapted in some way, who would it be, or what would it be for you? And I'm not asking for spoilers of stuff coming ahead of time. This is just your personal preference.
Ben Quadraneros
Is canon.
You actually could do, you know, when I think about some of the things we're doing now, you could actually do a pretty compelling story about that guy. Because what happened after that race? How did he go home to his wife?
Will is losing it.
Happen again.
That you brought up Ben Quadraneros.
Ben Quadraneros. You have any ideas, any characters you want to see?
Gosh, you know, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm very partial to General Grievous. Or, you know, we did this silly show that was like a Lego series that had, it was called the Freemaker Adventures. And it had Roger was the little battle droid trying to sell his life story about being, you know, in the Clone Wars and all that.
Trenches to wrenches.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you would know, of course. This man right here. Have you seen his B1 collection? If you come by, where my signing area is, there's a big B1 battle droid, the 3D printed one, and then next to it is like probably the biggest collection of B1s I've ever even been seen, or I mean, it's got to be, right?
It is the most comprehensive physical collection of battle droid variants from the Clone Wars era. Different of official Lucasfilm sources, whether they're canon, legends, concept, figure, otherwise, and some fan ones, but yeah.
I'd like to see something about droid makers. I mean, I played this character called Mubo that was in the VR experience. Yeah. And like he was like the head of the droid depot. I'm always been interested in it, and not to bring up Star Trek, but I will. But like, you know, the guy who made Data and Lore.
Dr. Nudian Singh.
Yeah, so something like that, but like who creates droids. So like I'd like to know something about the people that create droids. Anyway, that's kind of funny.
And we'll get Brent Spiner to play him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
thank you.
All right.
Great.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. Everybody, round of applause for Mr. Matt Wood and Sam Witwer.
Thank you.
They're going to be available all weekend long to meet and greet with all of us. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the joy and wonderful memories that you continue to create for us. Thank you so much.